You cannot defeat me, He-Man. Kneel before me and suck it. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content on my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games. I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
Only they have the powers to be masters of the universe. Live the adventure.
Oh, chat, we got a lot to cover today. We have a lot to get into in terms of the nitty-gritty details, particularly of this film, chat. Of this film, He-Man, or no, it's not even He-Man. Like, they left fucking He-Man out. He's in the movie. I mean, you know, he's far from a compelling character, though. But no, this is the Masters of the Universe, chat, the 1987 cinematic live-action adaptation of He-Man, the Masters of the Universe cartoon from the 80s. Before we get into, like, the nitty-gritty details, chat, of this film, some of the background in regards to the filmmaker, which I was reading up on the filmmaker, chat. Gary Goddard is like, oh, what's this guy been up to? Oh my God, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, chat. And just like the history of its production and how there's like some misinformation out there. And I want to go into detail because I'm hearing conflicting things about the movies. Like, wait a minute, some stuff doesn't make sense based on how certain people talk about the original show. And, you know, but I want to get into details about that because it's confusing to me. But the first thing I want to do, chat, typically before I start any of these reviews, I got to ask you a question, a very important question, chat. And it's this. How many of you have seen Masters of the Universe, chat? I'm very curious about that. I've only seen it recently. I've seen chunks of this film, but never in its full entirety, chat. But what about you guys? Ducking Henry, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well, Ducking Henry. Always a pleasure to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What happened? Does the review that Corey Martin did count as watching? If so, yes. They covered some big parts, no doubt. Mauricio says, me. Smiles, wait, what film are we talking about? Masters of the Universe, man. 1987 cinematic adaptation of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Chris, there was once 3 or 4 years ago. I was kind of hammered, so I don't remember. That's fine. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Not much to remember. King Kodiak, nope. This I never got into. It's a little before my time, but if it's good, I'll check it out. Hellenberger, only the nostalgic review where he compared Skeletor to John McCain. Fair enough. Fair enough. Axel, I didn't see it. It looked awful. Yeah. I've seen pieces. Yeah, I saw like pieces. I've seen chunks over many years, but first time and not very recently. I actually sat down watching its entirety. By the way, it's very hard to find this movie online. They're like, we are not making sure this is fucking scrubbed from the internet. I had to watch this for free on YouTube in chunks, but it was all there. It was all there, chat. I saw a couple times this Black British Depot, 10 times. I'm listening. Damn, okay, you must have been a fan then if you've seen it 10 times. Oh man, Master of the Universe. It's a movie. It is, man. It's got that going for it. It's like I'll give it that. I'll give it that. Cassidy same. I saw pieces. So okay, well, a lot of us are in the same boat then. Like, a couple of us have seen this movie, some multiple times, but few and far between. But I think most of us either have not seen this, or we've seen chunks or small pieces or clips, or I think a lot of cases, reviews of this film. Because, listen, I get it. This film is very easy to review and pick apart and mock, chat, and it deserves it. I'm not going to come in here, it's like, well, I'm going to tell you right now, chat, this film's underappreciated. Like, no. It deserves the vitriol. It absolutely does. Especially because, this is based on the He-Man, the Master Universe 80s cartoon, chat, the action figure line, and obviously the animated series. Now, I never grew up with He-Man. I never really watched the 80s animated series. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of He-Man. Maybe I have, like, it was in the background, like on, like, Boomerang, or like, because Cartoon Network's part of like Boomerang, where it showed old cartoons like Johnny Quest and shit, and like Scooby-Doo and everything. So maybe it was in there, possibly. But I was just never a fan. Really, the only He-Man property that I actually enjoyed, I was like, no, this is really good. I totally heard people seeing it, was the 2000, talking about this before, was the 2002 animated series, lasted for 2 seasons. That was great. And sad, because apparently no one was watching that show, and it ends on like a pretty dark cliffhanger, which is too bad. And, of course, you have the new Master of the Universe series, Masters of the Universe Revelations, I want to say, on Netflix, which is produced by Kevin Smith and things. And it's done by Powers Animation right here in Austin, Joe, which is pretty cool. Animation Studio did the stuff. I have not seen it. People got a lot of opinions on it, but, again, I think I'd be the perfect person to go in and watch that just because I don't really have any personal connection to He-Man outside of the 2002 animation, which I did enjoy. I did like it. And, like I said, I've only seen clips of this movie beforehand. Just sitting down watching it recently in its full entirety. Well, actually, I think it's a generational thing. I'm over 40. I've seen this movie a few times because I like the cartoon from the 80s. No, I get that. It's definitely a generational thing. Like, I could tell where, like my generation, because I'm going to be 30 in, 2 months. I'm going to be 30 in 2 months, and I grew up in the 90s. And so I was watching stuff like Batman the Animated Series, Hey Arnold, Ren and Stimpy, 90s, early 90s cartoons all the way to the 2000s. That was me. Animaniacs and things. And I never watched a lot of 80s cartoons. I never watched G.I. Joe or He-Man or Transformers, But again, if you were maybe born in the late 80s or mid 80s, you're always indulging in that stuff. So yeah, it's very much a generational thing, but only by a few years really. But yeah, I just didn't grow up on it. And so, finally, sitting down and watching this film, because I was interested in it, because, of course, it's always routinely mocked by so many people, and deservedly so. There's a lot of goofy shit that just does not fucking work about it. A lot of things hamper the film, everything from the writing to the budget to the actors to the general fucking premise, chat. It disappoints on a lot of fronts, chat. And apparently this was one of the last films coming from Canon Films. In the late 80s, Canon Films, which made a number of movies, low-budget films, things like, I want to say, Superman and the Quest for Peace, and I think there was another film that also came out, and I think that bankrupted Canon. It was this movie, Superman for the Quest for Peace, and I think something else, and I was like, all right, fuck it, because this was obviously a critical failure, also a commercial failure. It had a budget. Actually, I was like, all right, this is a big budget even for an 80s film. I mean, you don't use it well. $22 million, chat. Box office of $17.3 million. And it killed Canon. Now, what's interesting about this movie, chat, at least one of the interesting facts, is directed by Gary Goddard, who I looked up. I'm not familiar with Gary Goddard as a filmmaker. I believe this was his directorial debut. I think it was in terms of film. He had done he had directed other things, but they were mostly theme park rides. I was looking this up. He's done the Jurassic Park The Ride at Universal Studios. He did the T2 3D Battle Across Time ride. He did the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, that ride at Universal Studios. He's done a lot of aquarium showcases at places in Georgia. And Georgia, and specifically in Atlanta. So I was like, okay. And I was like, what's this guy doing recently? Because I just wasn't sure. And apparently, chat, most recently what's been happening in good old Gary Goddard's career is that he's been dealing with a ton of sexual assault allegations, chat. And he was apparently, because he's been a collaborator with Bryan Singer, and of course Bryan Singer, who has had many allegations thrown at him, and has been sued. He was in that. He was one of those people that apparently was hanging out with Bryan Singer with a whole bunch of little boys and molesting them. And apparently one of the things that he was accused of is that he molested and raped a 12-year-old boy quite a number of years ago. And so it's like, wow. Okay. So I was like, oh shit. Cause you can go to his Wikipedia page, chat, and it has work in theater, work in film, work in television, and sexual assault allegations. And I was like, there it goes. And sadly, chat, as I'm looking on his Wikipedia page, right now, that has the most paragraphs. That has the most words. It's fucked up. It's fucked up, chat. But there you go. So you can read about good old Gary Goddard right there. But another background about the film, Chaz, it's written, quote unquote, by David Odell, whose other screenwriting credits include Supergirl, awful movie, really terrible, but another one I actually like, The Dark Crystal, which is like, you know what I can see? That's one of the things I noticed. It's like I'm looking at this movie. It's like I can see a lot of like Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal in this, because it's like a relatively like kind of low mid-budget fantasy sci-fi film, but it has like these designs. I'm like, I kind of like these designs. I like the way certain things look. And Eternia, it feels like I'm looking around. It's like it feels like the domain of the Skeksis from The Dark Crystal. It's like sweet essence. Like I was like, this looks like it. Because weird. Because Eternia, I heard, is like supposed to be this fucking paradise. Is the crown jewel of the goddamn universe. And this place is fucking shit. So I was like, oh, did they just reuse Jim Henson's sets from The Dark Crystal? I don't know. I just noticed that. So I was like, all right. So he wrote one good movie and another one which is a big fucking stinker, chat. Now, what's interesting about this movie in terms of the history of it, because there's conflicting things. So different people have come out and said, who were working on the film behind the scenes, they've said, like, listen, when we made this movie, we didn't know what the TV show was going to be. Okay, we had the script and we started filming, and that's why it was not really like the original series at all. Because there's some stuff, they changed so much stuff from the TV show in the movie. Like, for example, He-Man is just He-Man. He's not Prince Adam, who he's not heir to Castle Grayskull. He's just He-Man, and he's a freedom fighter. Teela is the daughter of Man-at-Arms, which I believe, like, Teela is, that's the sister of He-Man, and they kind of hint at that Teela wants to fuck. I mean, everyone wants to fuck He-Man. Skeletor wants to fuck He-Man. A big plot point in this movie, Chase. Skeletor just wants He-Man to suck his dick. That's what he wants desperately, Chad. And Teela wants to do the same. I was like, all right, I get it. But they changed that. And of course, you know, we're on Eternia for about 10 minutes of screen time, and then we're on Earth for most of it, like in some goddamn Midwestern town, you know, in middle America or something. So they obviously changed it. I know that Earth has been a part of Master Universe before. They've had visitors and astronauts and fucking children. Skeletor hanging out with kids in the Christmas special. I hate fun, you know, doing all that stuff. But for the most part, it's like, we're not on Eternia. And people behind the scenes said, like, we didn't even know what it was. But the show had already been out for quite some time. So maybe they already had the script, because I know the action figures, they specifically made that show to sell the action figures. And so, like, okay, we want to make this a fucking franchise. So we want to have a film. We want to have a TV series. We want to have the action figures. So maybe they just did everything like in a weird order, but they didn't change it to go along with the show. It's very odd, because it was like there's stuff that contradicts. Because Frank Langella, who famously plays Skeletor, which, you know, he's having fun, I think, in the movie. I certainly enjoyed his ridiculous over-the-top performance, chat. I dug it. Because he says, it's like, oh yeah, I definitely want to play the character because he wanted to do it for his son, who was 4 years old at the time, who was watching the TV show. So it's like, well, wait a minute. You're saying that you didn't know what the TV show was going to be, but it was already out at the so it didn't make any fucking sense. It was weird. So I don't know what's true. I don't know. Again, these guys could be just saying these things like, we just didn't know, okay? Just to cover their asses. I would not be shocked if it's that, because there's just obviously conflicting information. Oh yeah, it's not the show. No, I'm reviewing Masters of the Universe, 1987 cinematic adaptation of He-Man, Masters of the Universe. So it's weird. So it's just because I've heard very conflicting information from so many places. Like, all right, so I just don't know. At the end of the day, chat, this movie is just kind of it's an abomination. It's a letdown. A funny letdown. It's a funny abomination. Just like we look at that and it's like, yeah, it's sputtering and it's malformed and malnourished, but there is something funny about it when it's gasping. I did like it for that, chat, but we got to go ahead and we have to delve into the nitty-gritty details of this film. And chat, we just fucking start. We fucking start matte painting, all right? The showcasing, like, we don't really have a budget. We couldn't actually build Castle Grayskull. It's like, we're just going to enter into a painting. We've got a wide shot, and we're just getting closer until we just bump into the matte painting, chat. But it's a cool painting. I'll give it that, chat. Castle Grayskull, it's weird because Castle Grayskull sounds evil and shit. Because I know that Skeletor lives at Snake Mountain. But I'm like, Castle Grayskull looks like a villain's lair to me. It looks like something that, you know, Sauron or fucking Emperor Palpatine would hang out. It's like, this is the good guy's home? It's like, all right, if you say so. Very weird. Well, we focus on this matte painting, and we get this narrator lady, who I guess is the sorceress, who is, there's no king of Eternia. Like, He-Man doesn't have his dad who's king of Eternia. It's just the sorceress. I'm not sure if that's He-Man's mom. They don't establish it. Like, maybe there was a scene they cut out, but they don't establish it. But she's like, this is a fucking Eternia. It's the crown jewel of the universe. It's great. This is Castle Grayskull. We couldn't afford to build an actual castle because it's too expensive. But there you go, and we're at war with the evil Skeletor. And then opening credits, we get opening credits, and the first person that gets top billing, first person we see, top billing, it's so fucking bizarre, is Billy Barty, who is a dwarf actor who plays the character of Gildor or Gwildor, Graham Cracker. I don't know his name, Chad. He's like a little goblin man. I forget his name. I'm just going to call him Graham Cracker for the rest of the review. Because because I kept misremembering. It's Gildor, Graham Cracker. That's his name. Little Graham. So a guy named Graham Cracker gets top billing over Dolph Lundgren, who is the star of the movie. He plays He-Man, and Frank Langella, who plays Skeletor, Gwildor. I'm still gonna. So for those that just need to know, Gwildor. Okay. Graham Cracker is going to be in place of Gwildor, the dwarf Yoda character, because my God, they are ripping off Star Wars throughout this entire movie. They want to do Star Wars. That's clearly what they want. It's like, there are some shots, I'm like, wait a minute. This is Star Wars. What are you doing? I mean, everyone wanted to copy Star Wars. There's so many knockoffs in the late 70s and the 80s. Threw a ton in the 80s, shit, Kroll and shit, which I've done a review for. Check that out. But yeah. So Gwildor is Graham Cracker now. So he gets top billing and shit, and you get all these other. You get Courtney Cox. I guess it's one of Courtney Cox's first movie, or one of the first. It's one of her big breaks in her career. It's a hell of a fucking break, chat. She plays the character of Julie, or as one of the characters calls her. We'll get into it in a bit. But after the opening credits, chat, Meg Foster. Meg Foster is in this, chat. She, you might not know the name, but she was in a number of films, including They Live. She played the one, the girl who tricked Roddy Piper, chat. She also played the mom who got shot by Slag in Blind Fury, chat, which is pretty fucking cool. Yeah, Gwildor is basically like fake Orko. I'm like, where's Orko? I know who Orko is, but I guess he's supposed to be Orko, but who fucking knows? He's the Yoda of the movie. He's not magical. He's like scientific based, so they just did the complete fucking opposite of Orko. But I know that He-Man's a combination between high science fiction and fantasy. It does all that shit. It's all one big group. So, but they very little magic here. It's mostly sci-fi mumbo jumbo. Except for Skeletor, he like throws lightning like Papa Palpatine. But we established that Eternia is kind of fucked. It's really shitty now because Skeletor and his forces of black plastic men, because they're like stormtroopers, chat, kind of like a combination between stormtroopers and Cylons, but they're all in black. They've pretty much completely conquered Eternia. They've gotten into the big city, getting in the Castle Grayskull and shit. And they've conquered it, and I guess they just made it look like a desert. Because I know Eternia is supposed to be like for the most part, a paradise, except for like little Skeletor's domain when it's all kind of shitty. So I guess when he just goes anywhere, it's just covered in dust and sand and rocks and crap. So Eternia not looking great. Skeletor has conquered it, chat. And soon he will, he's gonna conquer Castle Grayskull. We see the whole entrance. We see like this guy who is his fucking robe, chat. He's going through these fucking doors, and it looks like the set very similar, chat, to Rita Repulsa's home base on the moon. And I was like, this looks like Power Rangers. So much of this show reminds me of Power Rangers, and like all the acolytes were introduced to like Beastman and the reptile guy. It's like these look like the fucking like Gojo Mistress from Power Rangers, like the same, like they spent the same amount of money. It's like, did Saban did he take the sets from this show and use it for Power Rangers? Because it feels that way. It really feels that way. But we see fucking Skeletor, he's walking in, chat, and he's like, bah, bah, which is interesting because apparently Frank Langella was like really excited to play this role. And I feel like he is. Now, he could have saying now, it's like, oh, I hated it. It was awful. But I feel like he's having a lot of fun in it because he is hamming it up to like an 11, chat. He is gnawing, chewing, taking big, thick, meaty chunks out of the scenery, chat, with his acting, okay? And I'm gonna say it, I kind of liked it because you don't get any fucking acting from Dolph Lundgren, chat. Jesus Christ, He-Man is boring. In the movie, it's like, oh my God, this guy can't fucking act. There's nothing interesting about him. And there's a reason why. There's a big reason why, well, Dolph Lundgren is so wooden and just kind of unhuman in the movie, non-human in the movie. And the big reason was because Dolph Lundgren didn't speak English at the time. Like, he's speaking English in the movie, but he's speaking it phonetically. So he just memorized his lines, has no fucking idea what they mean, and just says them. That's why there's like weird inflections in certain scenes. It's like when he makes like a declarative statement, it sounds like a question, and it's like, wait, what are you talking about? It's because he doesn't actually know what he's saying. He's from Sweden. I think it's the same thing with Rocky IV. He didn't understand English in Rocky IV, and he spoke all of his lines. That's why he doesn't speak for most of the movie. And he spoke everything phonetically to, like, Sylvester Stallone and the other characters. I think that's a big reason why. Well, actually, with admitted to this day, Langella says he loved me in this. I believe it. You know what? I believe it. Because I feel like he gets the most to do. He's the villain. He gets some of the best lines. He gets to wear the coolest costume and shit. Multiple cool costumes. They're ridiculous. He's a Power Rangers villain. And, like, you see the big Skeletor reveal, and he doesn't really look like Skeletor from the TV show. Because it's not like an actual skull. He just has like a shit ton of fucking Play-Doh on his face, like white Play-Doh, like everywhere, and his head looks so fucking engorged. He's got a thick boy head, Shay. He's got a thick, just swollen. There's too much water that he had as a child, and it's like, oh my god, you're gonna burst, baby. And you just see this. And he's walking in there, and he's like, where's He-Man? I want him to suck my... Because the thing is, Chad, like, what he wants more than ever... Luke, the boss, thank you for the 2 biddies. He speaks the language of asking. I guess so. We're going to get to the action in this film, because it is not good. And I was like, okay, well, we're still going to get some cool fight scenes and swords, it's inspired by sword and sandal movies, right? Medieval films. Like, I guess it is, but man, the choreography in this movie is awful. A lot of times, like there are sword battles, but they're few and far between. Those people are just like shooting at each other with laser guns. Like, He-Man's most of the time using like this laser blaster he has, and it's just kind of lame. That's what all the actors, because none of these actors knew how to fight. They didn't choreograph any of this thing, which I don't blame them. I blame the choreographers, and I blame the director, obviously. The whole production, really. So it didn't do the actors any more favors. But he's there, and he's like, I can't wait to call, he doesn't sound like this. He sounds more like this. Evelyn, have we conquered Eternia? It's like, soon, my lord, we shall conquer Castle Grayskull, and it will be ours. He's like, no, Evelyn, it shall be mine. And he's always, for whatever reason, he's always looking at you at the camera, like, directly. It's like he's giving your he's just like talking right to you. And it kind of is like, it's dumb, it's goofy. It's like, why is he looking at me? But it works. It works for his heavy performance. It shall be mine. He's, where is He-Man? It's like, well, he's still with the freedom fighters, my lord. We shall track him down. Good! I need He-Man to kneel before me and suck my cock. Because I'm sorry, chat, but Skeletor, he just wants to keep He-Man alive, and he always wants him on his knees. I'm not reading into it, chat. It's already there. I'm sorry. But like, even the cartoon show, it's like there is some sexual homoerotic tension between He-Man and Skeletor. The whole fucking fan base admits it. You gotta admit it. Even you're like, hey, I love He-Man. I love all these characters. Like, I get it. Totally understand it. I get it. But Skeletor wants to fuck He-Man. Let's all fucking say it. there's no doubt about it. Especially in this. He sounds kind of Mark Hamlish. It's like, yeah, I could kind of see that. Yeah, it's like, oh, He-Man. Yeah, very much so. Totally. No any woman. Think with the pride biddies. Pride biddies for Skeletor. Ah! He-Man is a giglet. He is. He-Man, come on. This giant, just built man wearing leather, codpiece, huge fucking codpiece, hiding that giant white schlong, that bronze schlong in there, chat. He's got a bowl haircut. Of course he's gay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. That'd be awesome. If had that been like, they revealed that in the new He-Man or Masters of the Universe Revelation show, and he goes like, of course he is. I think that'd been awesome. Because of the 5 days. Honestly, so much of the poor production value in this movie would make sense if it turns out it was meant to be a porn, but yes. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, definitely porn parody material. It has that just has that look to it. It's very cheap and slutty. But he's like, I will get him. But then we see this old broad who's like standing in this little tube thing. She kind of looks like got a oh god, what's his name from Power Rangers? The potato guy, the guy who's in the fucking it's like he's old. What the hell's that guy from? Help me out here, chat. The Tube Man Rangers. I need teenagers with attitudes. Zordon. She's got like a Zordon vibe. Thank you, Trini. Thank you, Bill Casey. Appreciate that. But she's like standing there, she's like trapped in it. And I guess the sorceress is the regent, the leader of Eternia. I don't fucking know. Who knows? But she's like, you cannot win, Skeletor. The forces of good shall defeat you. She's like, oh, sorceress. Always so arrogant to the end. I will absorb your sweet essence. And he just starts sucking the life out of her, which is very weird. He does it in a very sexual way. He's like, ah! And he like holds out his hand, and all this pop of Palpatine lightning comes out, and he goes, ah! Ah! And he's like, gets more powerful. And she's like, oh, and she gets like grosser throughout the movie. Every time we cut to the sorceress, she's just super wrinkly and more Skeletor-like. So I guess, you know, when he absorbs your essence, you become more like him. Because he's like a being of constant hunger and consumption. I don't fucking know. I'm reading into it, chat. But he's like, oh, I need He-Man. And he's like, I must tell the people of Eternia my evil plans. They must give up He-Man and give him to me. And so then Skeletor makes a space Skype call. And it's very weird because it's like an image within an image. Like it's a hologram within a hologram because it's the first part of the image is just him just kind of standing there like, I'm Skeletor, here I am. But then he also superimposes his head like on his like body. So he has this giant fucking head on this little body. And it's so weird. I was like, why'd you do that? Why didn't you just have him just him standing there like with his fucking scepter and spear thingy? And it was like, Eternia, you will surrender to me, and He-Man will fall. You'll be on his knees and suck my cock. And they have it like, and they have the audio levels all messed up, and so he's talking over himself. So if I'm an Eternian, chat, I think that's what the proper verbiage is in Eternian. I'm a Eternian's like, I don't know what the fuck this obviously gay skeleton man is saying. I have no idea. It's like, all right, something about He-Man, something about dicks and being on your knees. All right, man, whatever. After that, chat, we cut to some fucking rocks in the desert somewhere, and we see some of Skeletor's troops, these kind of Cylon Stormtrooper-esque looking guys, and they're carrying a dwarf man named Graham Cracker in a net, and they're apparently bringing him to Skeletor, but He-Man sees this shit, he's like, no, and he's like, again, they don't have Dolph Lundgren saying a lot of lines in this movie, but when he does, boy, is it awkward. Boy, it does not feel just authentic in any capacity. It just feels like, man, you are literally just saying, he's saying words, chat, which is so weird to me. He's saying words he actually doesn't understand. And he's like, no. And they're like, what the fuck? And he starts, and he doesn't really use his sword because he has the whole, I have the power. And he says the line at the end of the movie. But for the most part, he really doesn't use his sword. He uses a blast. Most of the characters use these big blaster guns. Very Star Wars-esque. And he shoots them all. And we also see his compatriots, Teela, who is not his sister, but is the daughter of Man-at-Arms. I don't think that's... I think that's his sister from the series. I don't know if other adaptations, Teela has been the daughter of Man-at-Arms. Because they're trying to like set up like a romance between the two of them. It's hinted at, or she has feelings for He-Man, but he doesn't reciprocate them because I don't think he's capable of reciprocating them, you know, because he doesn't know what he's saying most of the times. But they defeat the Skeletor's troops, and they go over to the little dwarf man, whose name is Graham Cracker. It's like, oh, thank you for saving me. And he's like, Listen, I know exactly what's going on, and we must go to my lair where I can show you. And they're like, all right. She-Ra's his sister. So Teela, Teela is his friend. Oh, okay. I'm always getting confused. No, that's what I need to hear, guys. So Teela is his friend. So she is the daughter of Man-at-Arms. Okay, or maybe is the daughter of Man-at-Arms. Whatever. And She-Ra is his sister. Okay. See, I always get Teela and She-Ra confused. So that's why I have you here, chat. Thank you. So, okay, then the romance makes sense. But then the little Graham Cracker, he takes him to his lair, and he reveals a lot of exposition dump here. Because, you know, He-Man is asking, why did they take you, Graham Cracker? And he's like, I can tell you, He-Man, I have created an interdimensional key. And I made a set of two. It's 2 sets, and Skeletor has the other one. And, yeah, he took it from me. And I'm like, first of all, why did you build an interdimensional key that apparently can go anywhere? You can open a door, either in the capital fucking city of Eternia, Chad, or go across the galaxies, light years. He just did, this little dwarf man, living in this hovel, covered in, I imagine is his own shit, has managed to create this interdimensional traveling device that plays synthesizer music. And, because Teal's asking us, like, how does Skeletor get one? He goes, well, my species is very trusting. And I saw this nice lady. She introduced herself as Evil Lynn. Maybe she used her regular name, Evelyn. Duncan Henry, thank you for the 100+ biddies. Someone needs to sponsor the one-man show, Master Universe, in the park starring Chris Juicy. Oh, thank you, ma'am. Duncan Henry, that's so kind of you. And thank you for the 125 biddies. Now, I hope you guys are enjoying the review so far. It's fun. I gotta tell you, it's gonna be a long one, chat. Strap in, Buttercup. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's gonna be a good one. It's going to be a good one. But he said, oh, there's this nice lady named Eva Lynn, and my species is very trusting, and I told her everything about the keys. It's like, why would you ever tell someone named Evil Lynn that you have a device that can literally open a door, transport you via portal anywhere? And yeah, they took it, and that's how they broke into the capital city and been conquered. Teal's like, what the fuck? Like, she's legitimately, and rightfully mad at Graham Cracker, chat, because Graham Cracker, it's kind of his fault. Everything's so fucked up. This movie, it's his fault. It's like, why are you fucking messing with things that shouldn't be messed with, man? But, you know, He-Man's like, Teela, no, it's not his fault. It is, but okay. It's like, we have more pressing matters to attend to, and we must defeat Skeletor. He goes, indeed. And she's like, okay, well, why don't we just use the device? We'll just use the key. And he goes, oh, yes, we can use the device. And like, great, let's use it. Like, oh, wait, no, we can't. And they're like, what are you talking about? You just said yes. So it's like, well, we can, but if I input the code, they'll be able to track it via the other key I created. And they're like, fuck, okay, so where we gotta go? Because, you know, I mean, well, at least we have time, because it's not like Skeletor's troops have tracked us here and then knock on the goddamn door. Skeletor's troops are trying to get inside. And they're like, oh, we're fucked. Well, might as well use the key. He goes, no, I have a secret passage in my shit hovel. And so they circumvent all of his droppings, and they go to the back where this big fucking ceramic wall is. She has like this fake rock from like 1960 Star Trek. They move it over. And they'll go in there, and all the rest of Skeletor's troops, they bust down. Oh, they mess up, like, Graham Cracker's crystal garden. They're like, nah, we hate crystals and shit. And they mess up his crystal garden. Shit, Graham Cracker, he grew those crystals, chat. He cares about those crystals so much. And they break in, and he's like, he's gone. Don't search the place. They just leave. Eventually, apparently, chat, the secret Graham Cracker tunnel leads directly to Snake Mountain. I don't know where we are. Are we in Snake Mountain, the movie, or are we in Castle Grayskull? I believe we're in Castle Grayskull. I think that Skeletor is sitting in Castle Grayskull. That's what he's doing. And so the secret tunnel takes them to Castle Grayskull, which is okay. And they get out there, and we're like, oh shit, we gotta save the sorceress queen or whatever. And they see the sorceress. She's like, she's all Skeletor-eyed. She's looking really bad, looking a little derpy. And He-Man's like, oh, you know. And they go up to her and they try to help her, and they're like, you must fight for freedom, He-Man. It's the only way. And then, but before they can, like, how can we do this, sorceress? Fucking Skeletor and his boys show up, and they go, boom, they bust in. They're like, shit. And they get caught in a battle in the trading blaster fire, chat. And He-Man just, you know, he's using a sword. And again, the fight scenes, the choreography, like with the sword play, awful. It's so bad. The camera is so close up on the actors, and they're trying to hide the fact that they cannot duel at all. And they move so slow. It's like, it's like, all right, I get it. You can't fight. That's fine. Looks really awkward. Just go back to blaster fire, because at least it's like, it's not great, but it's like, okay, it's all right. It's fine. It's competent at the very least. But then, you know, the Skeletor's like, you cannot defeat me, He-Man. Kneel before me and suck it. And He-Man just looks at the sorcerer and goes, let her go? And he says it in such a way, which it's so funny, because he's like, let her go? Like it's a question. And Frank Langella's like, No. Are you asking me a question? It's like, I have no idea. It's like, let her go. You should not like, he's like, no, let her go. Like, it's a declarative statement, like, let her go. And they're like, all right, Chip. He's like, I don't know, maybe let her go? I don't know. He's like, all right, whatever. But fucking Graham Cracker, he's like, all right, I'm gonna activate the fucking key. And he just starts pressing random, like, apparently it takes some time. And he just starts pressing random buttons on this giant fucking cylinder key thing. Beep, bop, beep. It's making noise and playing music and shit. And it opens up this portal while everyone fights and everything. And they all start getting sucked into it. Like, Tila and fucking Man-at-Arms, He-Man and little Graham Crack, they all get sucked in. But oh no, they left the key there, and Skeletor's like, grab the key, we need it to conquer Eternia and the universe. But before his boys, the troops can get the key, apparently Graham Cracker has like a grappling hook, which we did not see before, and he launches it out of the portal somehow, and it grabs the key device and sucks into the portal, and Skeletor's like, no! I must have the key. Track them down. But then fucking Evil Lynn's like, yeah, listen, honey, they could be anywhere. They could be anywhere. We can't get a track. So it's like, well, this is when they use the key, because apparently you can find the key across the universe. So as soon as they use it again, you will get a connection to it, and we'll head to the area right there. And he's like, great, I could conquer the rest of Eternia for now. And so it's like, all right, cool. Eventually, we then travel across the stars. It looks really shitty. It looks very cheap. And boom, we're in the middle of a fucking swamp. He-Man, he comes to. Man-Arms, he comes to. Tila comes to. They're like, where are we? What is this foreign world? And they hear like someone like gagging and drowning. And apparently Graham Cracker has fallen into like a bog somewhere. And he just can't get himself out because he got whittle arms and legs, chap. And so He-Man grabs him via his ass, pulls him out. And he's like, oh God. I guess he has like gill thingies. He has like air sacs in his neck. I guess that's where his lungs are. Goes, and he like, boom, like you know how you try to pop ears. You go, you hold your breath and go like that. Pop ears. He does the same thing, and it just ejaculates like swamp lun Graham Cracker water all over Tila, Man-Arms, and He-Man. And, they're like, that's gross and disgusting. And He-Man's like, ha ha ha, he laughs because he found it amusing, chat, when the small dwarf man ejaculated lun water on him. But they're like, where are we? Where's the key? Uh-oh, they lost the key somehow. And even though fucking Graham Cracker got it with the grappling, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, chat. The fucking grappling hook only works occasionally, and it's not very effective, but they have no idea where the device is. And it's like, we gotta find it. We gotta find it. And so they hear something off in the distance, like in the forest. In the dense fucking forest. And they come to it and they're like, be at the ready, Man-at-Arms. He's like, I'm always armed. It's like, I get it. I get your man. Okay, never mind. And so what comes out of the fucking forest? It's a cow. And Graham Cracker's like, what type of beast is this? I shall attempt to communicate with it. And he starts talking to this fucking cow. It's a gag. It's a sight gag. And it's like, why is there like a random fucking cow in the woods? Like, I get like there's a cow in a pasture, cow in the field. Why is there just a random fucking cow in the woods? It doesn't make any sense. Like a lot of things. Why am I questioning the logic of the movie? Of course a cow is just randomly in the woods. Okay. But He-Man's like, we should split up and cover sectors. I don't know what the dimensions of a sector is. Usually a sector is already a predetermined area of land. And I was like, I'll cover sector 1. I'll cover sector 2, etc. And I'm like, what fucking sector are you talking about? We don't know where the hell we are. But they're like, okay, cool. And so they all split up while Gildor, whoever, just stays the cow. And he says, moo? Moo? What's a curious language? It's like, all right, I get it. Then, we immediately cut to a KFC / McDonald's / hot dog knockoff joint. Basically, it's like, Middle America restaurant diner. And we go inside, and we're introduced to the character of Julie, chat, played by Courtney Cox. Seriously, played by Courtney Cox. Most of the video. You don't know about those wild cows, Chris? They're a real pain in the ass. Are they? Are they real? Is that a thing? Thank you for the pity. Appreciate that, Luke the Boss. Mopu? Did you say Mopu? Mopu. Maybe he says Moopoo or whatever. He could, for all I know. But we cut inside and we introduce this character of Julie, or because at first I'm like, I don't know what the character's name is, because the first person who says Julie's name is her best friend and fellow coworker, who is just eating everything in sight. She's just, maybe she's pregnant, I don't know, but she's just stuffing her face with the chicken, the hot dogs and shit. So the first time we hear Julie's name, it's Gurgle, and I'm like, who the fuck names her kid Gurgle? Doesn't make any sense, but it's because she had a mouthful of chicken. And apparently it's Julie's last day, it's Courtney Cox's last day at the restaurant, chat, because she's going to the big city. She's going to Los Angeles, chat, to live out her dreams as an actress or something like that. And she was this last day at the restaurant, and you know, her friend is like, well, just eat in between bites of food. It's like, are you gonna like, you know, take Kevin with you? She goes like, no, even though I love Kevin and he's my boyfriend, I want to concentrate on my dreams. But I'm gonna have him do like a whole bunch of stuff for me anyway. And so this is kind of fucked up to me. So I guess her boyfriend, who looks suspiciously, I'm like, this guy looks like Tucker Carlson. He looks like a very young Tucker Carlson, chat, Kevin. He gave me them Tucker Carlson vibes, you know, not trying to speak ill of the man or anything, ill of Kevin, that is. No, fuck Tucker Carlson, fuck him right up the ass. But kind of like Tucker Carlson a little bit. But it's kind of weird that she's having Kevin do all this shit for her on her last day there before she just leaves forever. It's like, hey man, no, do what you want, But it's like, come on, don't do that to your ex-boyfriend. Like the movie wants to, it's like, it's your ex-boyfriend, it's your boyfriend, it doesn't matter. Like they don't try to establish like what they are. They say one thing and they do something else. It's very weird. Thank you. I think we have a new follower here. Let me go ahead and thank them real quick. Blurred Lines. I like your name, Blurred Lines. You're my new follower. My new Huckleberry. Appreciate you. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well. But she's leaving that day. She's leaving. And she's like, oh, it's okay. He's just going to drive me to the airport and like buy all this shit for me. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And then she's like, bye, whatever your name is. You're no longer important in the movie. And so she leaves the restaurant. She goes to this giant van. She had like this pedophile van. No windows. Heavily tinted windshield. Goes inside. And that we're introduced to Kevin, who looks kind of like Tucker Carlson. And he's like, hey, Julie, how you doing? You have a nice last day. He's like such a fucking simp. You have a nice last day at the restaurant? And she goes, yeah, it was great saying goodbye to all my friends and stuff. And he's like, well, I guess we can have one last date, huh? Before I drop you off at the airport. She's like, yeah, I guess, yeah. And he's like, well, how about you come with me for the sound check? Does that sound cool? She goes, well, before we go and do the sound check, I need to see my dead parents. And it's like, whoa, okay, dead parents alert, chat. Of course, the protagonist always has to have dead parents. He's like, all right, well, after we go see your dead parents at the graveyard, you want to like hang out and fuck? She's like, afterwards, okay, Jesus. And so they drive away. Meanwhile, Tila, she has showed up in the sector, which includes the KFC knockoff hot dog restaurant, and she goes there, and she's like, what are these things eating? What are they doing? And then she sees Man-at-Arms. She's like, why aren't you covering your sector? Which, again, we have not determined what a sector is or what sector they're covering. It doesn't make any sense. And he goes, the nose knows, honey, and I smell. My nose likes what I'm smelling. And they see that there's food there, so how do we obtain the food? And then we see Graham Cracker, chat. He also is there, even though he's supposed to be covering his sector. He-Man's the only one that's doing his fucking job, covering his sector, chat. He just wandered off. I go this way. And everyone else went, all right, He-Man, see ya. And they all went another direction. But he uses his grappling hook, chat, to steal a bucket of assorted meat products in this couple's convertible, who are just fucking kissing, chat. They're borderline like almost doing it, chat, having the sex, okay? And even Man-Arms, like Tila's like, look, father, and he looks at the couple and he goes, I was doing that before you were born. He's like, of course, I know you were, Dad. That's how I'm here. That's why I'm corporeal and, oh, you idiot. But they have food. But Graham Cracker, he uses his grappling hook, steals the fucking food, and he's just a little gremlin. He's like, he starts eating all of it. It's just disgusting the way he eats this shit. He like, I don't know what the dipping. I think he just drank barbecue sauce. Like it's like those like a little container of barbecue. It's about that big. He just drinks that. She's like, he's getting all over himself. It's like, oh God, disgusting. And then eventually Teela and Man-Arms walk over and are like, didn't you, I'm sure you're going to share that with us, weren't you, Graham? He's like, of course I was. Please sit down, enjoy the bucket of delicacy. And they all sit down and shit. And they're like, and Teela, she's eating this. And it's very weird here because she's like, why do they have this substance on these white sticks? And the Man-Arms says, it's a rib bone. It's a rib bone. She's like, I'm eating meat from an animal? Oh, these savages. And even like fucking Graham Cracker's like, and Man-Arms is like, yeah, it's fucking meat. Like, do they not eat meat on Eternia? Are they all vegetarians? Like, I'm very confused. I'm very confused by this. Like, she's just, like, she's never eaten meat before. She doesn't even understand the concept of meat. But apparently her father is very familiar with it. And Gildor is just as horrified. It's like, I was like, wait, what? I don't get it. So it's confused. I'm confused. And so, I'm sorry, but if you're fucking fighting in goddamn war and shit, like, sword and sandals, swords and everything going bad, you're gonna eat some meat. You gotta eat some protein, I imagine. All right, but apparently not an Eternia, except for Man-Arms. He's like, oh, this is good. And Gildor is like, meat, but meat tastes good. Oh, what a development. Oh, what a conundrum. He keeps using it. Eventually, they leave, they wander, he fucking takes the bucket and they leave. Ducky, everything with a 5 biddies, 5 biddies. This is fucked up, but if I had fried chicken for the first time, he'd be eating that shit like a graham crack. He's like, he's going at it. He's going at it, Ducky. Thank you for the 5 pride biddies. Smart spit pattern. Eventually, we cut, and we're now at the graveyard. Oh, yeah, we're at the graveyard of Julie's dead parents, and she's there with Kevin, who's holding her, and shit. She's like, it's my fucking fault they're dead. He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, the thing is, like, they wanted to come and see me and, like, hang out and stuff, but I told them I was, like, really busy, like, studying for my exams, like, in school and college, but I really just want to hang out with you and have sex. And they came anyway, and they were on a plane, and the plane crashed. She's like, okay, how is this your fault, though? They're gonna come no matter what. But she's like, it's my fault. And he's like, no, it wasn't. And she, like, has this ridiculous made-up guilt. Even Batman's like, take it easy, honey, okay? all right. It ain't your fault. It's so fucking weird. And he's like, it's not your fault. And we had I had a good time that day. And she's like, shut up, Kevin. And so they're leaving or whatever. And then Kevin spots the key, the cylinder key that Graham Cracker was using from Eternia. It's just in a ditch in the graveyard. And he's like, whoa, what is this? And he picks it up. He's like, and she's like, what is it, Kevin? He's like, oh, I know what it is. It's one of those synthesizers from Japan. It's like, oh, of course. It's a futuristic piece of technology in the 80s. It must be from Japan, Chad. He's like, whoa. And he just starts pressing random buttons on it. And it's like making all these noises, all these synthesizers. But by the way, the score of the movie, the score of the film, it wants to be John Williams. Sometimes it's very eerily similar to Superman the movie, like the Richard Donner 1978 film, and also Star Wars. It's like, all right, I see what you're doing here. It's like it cuts between. I was like, okay, you're almost doing Star Wars. You're almost playing the Emperor's theme for Skeletor, a person who did the music for this movie. But he's playing the synthesizer. He's like, this is so cool. I'm going to take this with me. I'm sure it's fine. Meanwhile, we cut back to Eternia, and this is such a weird... I love how it's shot, because literally it's Skeletor sitting on the throne, Eternia throne or whatever, Castle Grayskull throne, and Evil Lyn is right between her head. I'm not joking. Watch the movie. Watch this clip. It's available online for free. You can check it out, chat. Evil Lyn's head is right between his thighs like she was sucking his dick. I am not joking. I am not being facetious or being nasty on purpose, chat. That's the shot. She has her hands on his thighs like this, on his thighs, like right here, grabbing him like this, head right there. And I'm like, all right, all right, there it is. Kill a bitch, welcome to stream, Vanessa. Hope you're doing well. I'm talking about the scene where Evil Lyn's sucking Skeletor's dick. And he's just sitting there, and I love it. Because he's just sitting there going, I'm bored. Like, he could not, but clearly, Evil Lyn just gave him a blowy. And he is like, it's not the same. I want He-Man to kneel down and suck my cock. Like, that's what he wants. He's like, I need it, because after she's doing whatever she's dead, he's like, oh, I need to have He-Man. He must kneel, like, literally, he must kneel before me. And she's like, clearly, he's like, I'm fucking here for you, dude, okay? I love you. She clearly loves him, but he's like, you're a fucking underling. I couldn't love something like you. You're garbage. And he's like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, his minions are minions, chat to him, not his equals any capacity. Come monster. It's 29. Speaking of come. Hey, lad, I'm 40. I live in my mother's house here. I have 6 kids today. I have my neighborhood cat and threw it up in garbage bin. My mom is mad. What should I do? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to you, man. I'm in the middle of my review, Snowman, Biddy Man. But, so, you know, she was right there. He's like, I must have He-Man. And he's like, but they got, so when fucking Kevin was fooling around with the synthesizer, beep, 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 pressing buttons and shit, they got a lock on the coordinates, and they're like, cool, we kind of know where they are right now. And so Evil Lynn's like, okay, do you want me to send, like, the army? Just our fucking entire forces there? He's like, no, we will send a preliminary force, a scout team, if you will. And she's like, okay, cool. Who do you want to send? He says, I'll send my mercenaries. They're disposable anyway. And so then we see the mercenaries, chat, which I guess they're like the action figures. And we're introduced to these, I'm sorry, but they're a Power Rangers villain shit. Like, they're like Goldar and all the other ones, like from either Mighty Morphin and Zeo and shit. We're introduced to, who do I got? Who are the individuals? Okay, we're introduced to some merchant. We got Blade, who is like a guy that's covered in like silvery armor and shit, and he has 2 swords. He's got an eye patch, and his name is Blade. He looks really shitty. We're introduced to Beast Man, and he's pretty much Beast Man from the show. He doesn't talk or anything. He's like, that's all he does. But he's Beast Man. He looks kind of like, you know, all hairy, very red hair, red brownish hair. We're introduced to a troll doll who's kind of like the leader of them. I get the impression he's the one that has the most dialogue. He's giving the orders out. So I was like, okay, everyone else follows under him. Troll doll. He has like this greenish face and this white hair that shoots all the way up, like it's like a big old mass of hair. And then we have Reptile from Mortal Kombat. And Skeletor's like, cool, all right, fucking open up the portal and you guys can go there. Like, we will do this for you. Skeletor's like, all right, just go get He-Man, get my man for me. And so they go through the portal. Meanwhile, we cut to the high school, I guess the local town high school, where Julie's looking for Lauren because, you know, she took all her tests there and did a lot of blowies back in the day, a lot of hand jobs back in the day, chat. Kevin, he's working up on the stage because he's in a band. That's how he makes his living, chat. He plays live music, and he's like, hey Julie, hey, listen to this, and he plays this keyboard shit, and she's like, that's nice, Kevin. And he's like, oh, you know, this thing right here, I think I'm gonna go talk to Charlie about this Japanese synthesizer. Just want to get his opinion on it, okay? I'll be back in like 15 minutes, all right? Just go and ask Charles back there. I guess Charles is the coach or the janitor. I don't know what the fuck he is, but go ask Charlie back there if you need anything. I'll be back in 15 minutes. And hey, you know, I mean, you don't have to take the plane today. I mean, you could go to California anytime, right? Oh, you stay. She's like, I don't know, Kevin, I gotta think about it. He's like, okay, well, I'll be right back in 15 minutes, all right? Bye. And he leaves. And to go talk to Charlie. Meanwhile, Julie's just fucking sitting there, and we cut outside the school, and a fucking portal opens up, and all the you know, the Power Rangers villains walk out, shit, with the putties and shit. You know, fucking Beast Man and the Troll Doll and Reptile from Mortal Kombat and Blade. And I'm like, oh, the location of the device is in this building. And it's like, they go inside the building. And they're like, they look ridiculous because it's like we're barely in Eternia. It's like most of the time we're on fucking Earth, and they go inside this place and they're walking around and shit. They're like, what are these things? Like, oh, it's a water fountain, and all that shit. And eventually, Charlie, the janitor, possibly football coach, goes, "Hi, what are you guys doing in here?" They go, "Kill him!" And they fuck Charlie up. They fuck Charlie up good. Charlie's just like, he's like, wait, what's going on? He has no idea what's happening, Chad. No one does. He's like, what the fuck? He saw a troll doll, a reptile man, a very hairy beast man, Chad, and a guy named Blade. But not cool Wesley Snipes Blade, Chad. Like milky white, pasty, clearly malnourished man in silvery armor, and they fuck him up. Now they like stab him and shit. They just beat the shit out of him. Like, fuck you, Charlie. And they fuck Charlie up. And then fucking Julie here's is like, what, Charles, are you okay? And then, bah, they burst into the auditorium. They're like, you, the F-woman, you know what the device is. And they chase after her. And we get this whole sequence where she's like, oh, God. She's like hiding under like the benches and shit. And we're like, blah, blah, like trying to stab her. Like Blade's like, I got swords. It's what I do. Stabby, stab, stab. Stabbing and shit. Chasing after her, but the troll does like, don't kill her, she might know where the device is. And so, all right, so she keeps running, and she goes outside. She's like, fucking help me, Jesus fucking Christ, like a reptile, the troll guy, oh my fucking God. She's very scared. I mean, you would be, chat. They also start a fire, they burn down. It's like, oh, destroy the human domicile, and they burn the shit. They take Molotov cocktails and just boom, just throw it out. Also, she like throws like water at Beastman, and apparently witness me. Fucks him term fighting nuts. I know there's been a lot of eroticism in this review. Fucks him up in terms of fighting combat. They don't fuck him. Witness me, Nick Diaz, the chat tag. Thank you for the raid. Everybody on the dance floor. Raid. Chat, please check out Nick Diaz, one of the backbones of the D to give me, make sure the goddamn was the goddamn car. Good to see you, Nick. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing very well, good sir. Thank you for that raid. Come in the middle of my review for Masters of the Universe, the 1987 cinematic adaptation of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. That one. And so she's running. Meanwhile, Dolph Lundgren is just, again, and there's like no one outside. It's like there are no people out here. Like it's 8 p.m. on a Friday, and you're telling me like no one's walking around at night in this town. It's like, nope, 8 p.m., that's when the door, no, by 7 p.m., that's when we shut our doors. All the restaurants and bars, not on Friday, not here, not in Plainsville, U.S. It's like weird to me. And it's because they work over a shoestring budget. They literally could not afford extras to stand around and go, what the fuck is that? That's a Conan Barbarian guy. Like nothing. And she's just running down this desolate street. And we get like a really weird scene of, because Dolph Lundgren, He-Man hears her. He's like, oh, someone needs help. And like, she's running down the alleyway, and she, like, turns her head, and He-Man's just there as she's running and just goes, just opens up his arms and just takes her and awkwardly, like, holds her. He's like, I'm here to help. She's like, get the fuck off me, Jesus Christ. And he's like, I'm here to help you. What is wrong, citizen? She's like, there's these fucking creepy reptile troll doll people chasing me. I shall defeat them. And she's like, oh, yeah. And he takes her. And like lifts her up and he puts her behind some garbage. Stay in the trash. Stay in the trash, Trashly. Just like Ashley from Resident Evil 4 chat. Ashley, you're Trashly. Stay near the trash is where you belong. You're not going to be able to help. And these guys, there's this scene where they emphasize, I guess, the badassery of these mercenaries, Beastman, Reptile, and shit, where they cut a chain link fence of their swords. Like they spend time. It's like Blades goes, yeah, and he's like, get in there, guys, get in. They all pile through the fence, and she's like, okay, that's weird. And they all pile in there, and then He-Man, he just fucking kicks all their ass and shit. Like Blade's like, I've been waiting for this day, He-Man, for quite some time. You'll pay for stabbing my eye. And he like pulls out two swords, but the guy is so skinny that you can literally see his arms shaking, because it's like, you hold one, like a sword is heavy. Like I get that, totally understand that. Swords are heavy, medieval swords, totally, you need to like deal with it. But he's like, it'll be badass if you do wield two swords, Blade, because you're a master of swords. But he clearly does not have the muscle mass to hold them, chat, and you can literally see his arms shaking when he's holding the swords, and then you see them fight, and it's the awkward, because this guy's, he's a swordman, he's in the sword play, but it's the most awkward sword fight I think you might see in quite some time, because he's like, like, and it's so slow. Thank you so much, good sir, for the 20 minutes, appreciate that. But it's like really awkward fight. And eventually, I think Reptile guy comes at He-Man, he throws him in the blade, and the troll guy's like, fuck this, I ain't getting involved. And Beastman's getting his ass kicked. But then Reptile Man's about to blast He-Man with like his gauntlet blaster. But then fucking Julie, chat, she ain't trash. She's competent, chat. She's her own woman. She comes up behind a Reptile guy and hits him with like a trash. He goes, no. At this point, when Troll Doll saw Juice, like, oh, we must retreat, reinforcements. And then I think, like, fucking Teela and Man Arms show up, too. Like, they're there or whatever. Yeah, they're there, and Graham Cracker's not there, but we'll find out why. And they go to they go to, what the fuck's her name? Julie. And they're like, are you okay, citizen of Earth? She's like, who are you guys? And He-Man's like, let me tell you. And then we cut. And now we're with Kevin, who goes into Charlie's music store because he has the device that Skeletor is looking for. And he goes, Charlie, man, I just want to, my show's about to start like an hour from now, but I got to talk to you, okay? I found this thing in a graveyard, and I don't know what it is. And he goes, oh, yeah. Charlie's like, oh, I know what that is. Oh, yeah, it's Japanese, right? He goes, no, man, this ain't Japanese. I mean, look when I do this. And he starts playing pushing all these fucking buttons, chat. And it opens up this mechanism at the top. And it's like you see the cosmos. They're like, whoa, it's got special effects, dude. You can use this for your show. He's like, hey, man, I don't even know what this is. I mean, it's fucking crazy. He's like, hey, I'll buy it off you, man. He's like, no way, dude, no way. And while they're talking, you see all these but this is where they can afford extras finally. Because there are all these extras. I guess all the extras were in this scene. They couldn't be in the scene when Julie's being chased by a reptile man and a troll man. But we see all these cop cars and this fucking, fire truck, wee woo, all that shit. And everyone's like, what's going on? Is there a fire or something? And Charlie's like, whoa, well, let me hear on the radio. And he has this giant fucking phone radio. Oh no, it's a police scanner. It's a police scanner, but it's this giant brick where he puts up to his ear. It's huge. I mean, it's the 80s, so that's how it was. But he fucking elongates this and tentacles. All right, there we go. Flip the switch. Okay, here we go. And there was like, there's a fire at the high school and it's burning down. Fucking Kevin's like, whoa, Julie. And so he runs, he takes the device and shit. And he goes there, and they bring out Charlie, the janitor, possible football coach, basketball coach. I don't know his profession is, chat. Charlie is fucked up, but he's okay. He's alive. And he's like, I've seen some shit. And he was like, Charlie, you okay? He's like, don't talk to me right now. I've been assaulted by a troll doll and a hairy beast man. And he's like, did you see Julie? He's like, fuck Julie. And he put him in the back of the ambulance. You gotta pay $1,000 now, man. Medical healthcare system, chat. Even 1987 is rough. And so he's like, Julie. But then we get the introduction to. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this character, chat. And we get to the introduction of Officer Lubbock or Detective Lubbock, and it's the guy I think who plays the vice principal. Is it the vice principal or the principal? In Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, I think it's Mr. Strickland. Is this the same? I think it's the same guy. I think it's Mr. Strickland from the Back to the Future trilogy, chat. He's always one. You're late, McFly. Is that? Yes, he's the principal. Yeah, Principal fucking Strickland. And so he will now be known as Principal Strickland, Officer Strickland, chat. I'm not gonna call him Lubbock. All right, it's Strickland right now. And he's there, and he's fucking weird and shit. Yeah, that's him. He was also the guy chewing Tom Cruise in Top Gun. I haven't seen Top Gun in so long. I don't remember him. Thank you for the videos, though. Appreciate that, Chris Ayers. So, he's like, they were that was the only person we found in the building. No one else was in the school tonight, even though there is supposed to be a live show at the high school in an hour. I'm sorry, but there'll be people in the high school. There was no one else in the building. Bull fucking shit. There was only one, Charlie, the janitor / football coach, possible basketball coach. He was the only one there. And he's like, well, my girlfriend might be in there. I left her, and he's like, hey, man. Hey, buckaroo, okay? All right, you want to act like a tough guy? Why don't you come down to the station? And then he starts to arrest him. It's like, why are you arresting this guy? He's like, wait, are you putting me under arrest? He's like, no, let's go see about this Julie you're all excited about. He gets very aggressive for some reason. I think he's some PTSD shit. He does mention he was in Korea, and it's like he goes off like that. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, at this point, I would not go in his car. But fucking Kevin, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, as Smash Mouth would say, chat. And he goes in the car with Principal Strickland, and they just drive to Julie's home, chat. Meanwhile, we cut to He-Man and Julie and the rest of the people, and they're literally sitting behind a dumpster. And the dialogue we hear is like, and that's why Eternia needs to be freed from Skeletor. So they skipped all that shit. They're like, all right. Yeah, we told her. And Julie's just like, okay, I believe you. It's like, why would you fucking believe, you don't know what these people are, but she's very naive. We'll soon see, Chad. Julie is very naive, and they're like, "Well, we gotta find the key." Oh, they have the key at this. Oh no, what's his name has the key. Kevin has the key. She's like, "Well, I gotta get to my boyfriend. I have to call him and make sure he's okay. He might be going to school. He might be going to my apartment." And he's like, "Well, you shall then use this mystical device you call a phone. A phone? Use this phone, Julie." And she goes to a payphone, chat. And she calls the house right when Officer Strickland, Vice Principal Strickland, chat, and Kevin walk in. They go inside there, and Kevin, he goes to the phone, and Strickland's like, "Who's on the phone? Who are you talking to? Who's that?" And he's very aggressive, and he's like, "Oh, shit." Because for whatever reason, he doesn't want to let Strickland know about... It doesn't make any sense. It's like, wait, why are you being so cagey with this information, Sheriff Strickland? He wants to help you. He's a little fucking nuts. I get that. He's just acting weird, I guess, for the sake of comedy. I think that's why they did it, but it's just odd. And he does this whole, like, "Oh, yeah, Julie's not here right now." And fucking Julie's like, "Julie, no, it's Kevin, it's me." Julie is like, yeah, Julie will be back in a bit. "No, I'm with someone right now, an officer." Yep. And I guess he just doesn't want to reveal where Julie... It doesn't make any sense. And it's based on this device. Because eventually, Officer Strickland takes, like, interest in this device. And he's like, "What is this? What is this?" He's like, "Oh, man, just check it out." And then fucking Officer Strickland starts pushing buttons and beep, bop, boop. And there you go. It fucking ejaculates the cosmos. He's like, "Whoa, Jesus." And he's like, "Well, I'm going to fucking take this. See you later." He's like, "Wait, don't take this." Like, and he pulls out his fucking gun. He's like, "Don't fucking touch me, man. Don't fucking touch me." And it's just like, okay, all right, Vice Principal Strickland, I'm sorry. He leaves. At this point, we then come back to Eternia, where Troll Doll, Reptile, Beastman, all them guys, they all show back up to report to Skeletor. And Skeletor is he says, "I wish He-Man was here. I desire him so," on his knees. But then he sees Beastman. She's like, "Oh, beautiful, my underlings, have you brought me the Italians?" And they're like, "Sire, we asked." The Troll Dolls, he's the one that's talking. He's the one that's representing at this moment. He's like, "Sire, we encountered the Italians, but we were overrun by them. The numbers were too many." He's like, "Too many. Too many for the greatest mercenaries of the galaxy. I have come here. I desire He-Man, not your excuses." And Troll Doll is like, "Well, we know their location, my lord." He goes, "Enough! Your excuses are meaningless to me." And the fucking Troll Doll's like, "Give us one more chance, my lord. I swear to you on Snake Mountain," reference drop, "that we will give you He-Man." Is like, "I am not in a very generous mood." And even though Troll Doll, Blade, and Beastman, they were all talking and like saying, "Hey, we're sorry," the one guy who's not saying shit, Reptile, is just like, "I'm just gonna stay in the background." He's the one that Skeletor kills. He goes, "Unlimited power," and he uses his Papa Palpatine lightning powers. Fucking hits Reptile, he explodes, and the Reptile meat chunks. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? So apparently, hey, if you were on your fucking knees begging, you're gonna end up dying. So Reptile, even though he wasn't saying shit, he's like, "I'm gonna be in the background." He got God. And it's fucking Evil Lynn, she's there. She's like, "Listen, babe, Skeletor, babe, send me. He's like, "Go, wench, bring me He-Man. I desire him above all else. Even me." "Of course I do. Go. And she's like, "Fine." She takes her forces and shit. They then arrive in fucking Middle America, and they go to the last known location of the device, and it's the house, and she fucking breaks in, and Kevin's like, "Whoa!" And she's like, "Tell me what the device is." He's like, "I'll tell you nothing, Evil Lynn." She's like, "All right." And she gets like a slave collar out, and she puts it around him, and it starts mind controlling him and shit. And he reveals all this information, everything, Julia, He-Man, all that bullshit. Or what he knows. I guess he doesn't know about He-Man yet, but he knows about Julia. And Eolin's like, "Oh, I will use this." And eventually, He-Man and, she leaves, and then He-Man and Julia, they arrive, but fucking Kevin's like, I must kill you. But Julia frees him from the slave collar. And he's like, oh, there's this crazy fucking lady with these beast people. They came here and they put a slave collar on me. And Strickland, Vice Principal Strickland, he has the fucking device, the thing. And, Graham, oh, by the way, Graham Cracker, he hot-wired a car. I forgot to mention this. He hot-wired a car earlier because he knows Earth technology just because. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's easy. No problem at all. And he fucking does, and they're driving this fucking broken piece of shit car. Eventually, they get to Strickland. They capture him. And they're like, no, we need that fucking device, dude. And they hide him at gunpoint. And they go back to Charlie's store where they're just like, talking and shit, like trying to figure out a plan, what we need to do. Eventually, though, the Skeletor's forces attack the store, and He-Man and fucking Tila and Man-at-Arms, they gotta defend it, while Kevin is holding Officer Strickland at gunpoint, and Charlie's just like, oh god. And you also have Graham Cracker who's working on the fucking device and shit, because apparently he's like, Graham Cracker, you could take us back to eternity. He goes, yes, I can. He's like, great, do it now. He's like, oh. Well, it would take many hours to do so. I mean, I just don't know how long. It's like, God damn it, Graham Cracker. And so he's working on he's punching so many buttons and shit. And eventually Officer Strickland just loses it because he starts mentioning Korea, and he fucking freaks out. And he he runs at Kevin. They're fighting over the gun. Charlie's like, just don't shoot me, man. Just don't shoot me. It's like bad. And this is so weird because Julie has such a non-reaction to what's happening in the room she's in the room. She's watching her ex-boyfriend Kevin fight with this clearly PTSD afflicted police officer and just going, huh? It's like, are you kidding me? Just her acting was the equivalent of fucking Dolph Lundgren's acting as He-Man. It was like very weird. But then she looks out a window and she sees her dead mom. Her dead mom says, hi, Julie, it's me, your mother. And she's like, Mom, oh my God, Mom. And she just goes outside. So I'm sorry. If you were caught in the middle of an intergalactic war between a guy named Skeletor and He-Man, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think that thing over there's my mom. I'd be like, my mom's been dead for years. I don't think so, but okay, if you say, all right. And so she goes outside, and her mom is just surrounded by mist, and there's like this weird light and a fan behind her going, Julie, I've come back. Oh, no, she says, I've come back. And she, like, exposition jump chat. She's like, Julie, I have so much information to tell you in so little time, but your father and I, we were actually alive. The device that you have, it was our creation. We work for a secret fucking organization, and we created this to protect you, to protect humanity. She goes, really? And the mom's like, yeah. Am I joking, chat? That is literally dialogue in this film. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Naya, think of it 3 minutes. Hey, Quiz David, again. How you doing? Hard hands, Naya Brownie. I'm doing great. I'm loving this review currently of Masters of the Universe, the 1987 cinematic adaptation of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. It's incredible. I'm just like, okay. She's like, yeah, okay, Mom, sure. And she's like, yes. And Julie, and you need to do something very important for me right now, okay? And she's like, whatever, Mom, whatever you want. Is Dad here? He's like, oh, yeah, he's behind the clouds and mist and shit. Listen, if you could just get the cylinder key for me that Graham Cracker's working on, just bring it to me, that would be great. She says, of course, Mom, of course. And so she goes back inside, and Graham Cracker is just there just watching fucking Kevin and Officer Strickland just fight at this point. Just like, whatever. That's how you get your kicks here, I guess. And she goes in there, and they all stop fighting. Well, that's right. Graham Cracker, I think he eventually he grabs the gun, and because he drops the device, puts it on the table. The gun gets out of both their hands. Graham Cracker grabs it, goes, but he shoots it up in the air like multiple times. Like, all right, now let's settle down here, please. Let's all be more agreeable. And fucking, they're all like, okay, all right, you're right. Because there's a fucking battle. Literally, chat, there's a big, stupid, dumb blaster pistol battle happening right outside between a very thin layer of wall. All right, it's right on the other side, and it doesn't even they don't even hear it. But Julie she barges in. She's like, I need the thing. And she just grabs it and runs. She's like, Kevin, you don't understand. My mom is alive. Look, she's right there. And they're like, that's not your mom. She's like, it's my mom. And then she runs out. The door magically fucking shuts and they can't, like, like it burns. Like Kevin goes to the door and it burns his fucking hand. Remember like the Nazi? In Raiders of the Lost Ark, where he grabs the medallion because it has the fucking thing on it, and it like burns into his fucking hand. He's like, ah! It's like his skin comes off and shit. And Julie's like, Mom, I got the cylinder key thing. And she's like, you did so well, honey. Thank you. And then her mom turns into Evil Lynn. Oh my God, what a reveal. She turns into Meg Foster, chat. And Julie's like, no, it's impossible. Yes, it is impossible. That would be your mother. She's like, thank you, Julie. You have helped me. Now live in your shame. And she just walks away. She just fucking walks away. And then Julie goes back just like, so it wasn't really my mom. We know, Julie, we know. Eventually, He-Man and Teela and Man-Arms like, fuck, all right, we got to get the device. We got to go get the device from Evil Lynn. So they all leave. Officer Strickland stays there with Charlie. Charlie's fucking livelihood. His store is completely destroyed. Completely fucking destroyed, chat. He's like, my store is everything I have. And Strickland's like, you have a gun? I need a gun. It's like, I'm sorry, but Officer Strickland's the last person I would give a gun at that point. He's like, he's going to kill something. I mean, he's going to kill an innocent person. He's like, yeah, man, here's my shotgun. And he's like, yeah, okay, just like Korea. And he goes outside, check, because he's ready to blast some Skeletor forces at this point. Also, Skeletor arrives. This big fucking portal opens up. And because Evil Lynn, that's the thing. She gets on Space Skype. And she says, Skeletor, I got the other key. He's like, fantastic, and soon I shall have He-Man. She goes, yes, then you'll have He-Man. And so he opens up the portal and his army, again, not a single person on the streets. There is no one downtown, chat. There's not a fucking soul. It's empty. And he's marching down these streets with his army of Stormtrooper-esque Cylons. And Officer Strickland's like, oh, I'm going to get you. And he starts shooting at him. And they're like, what the fuck are you doing, you goddamn, you pale, pasty monkey man? And they shoot at him and explode this car. He's like, whoa, I'm going to need some backup. It's like, no shit, you're going to need some backup. You're fighting an interdimensional force from another galaxy or universe, whatever the fuck it is. And later, that's the thing. Because, Evil Lynn, she sends out these hoverboard. They have these hoverboard. And this, oh my God, this action is so bad. It's so cheap. It's so cheap looking. But apparently, Skeletor has invested in hoverboards, and his troops like ride hoverboards and shit. And Evil Lynn's like, hoverboard boys, go out and kill the rest of the Eternians. And they're like, cool. And so they go out to kill the rest of the Eternians, and they're shooting at him down this alleyway. It looks really fake. And like, it's I don't know if Skeletor's forces are robots, because again, maybe it's just because they're trying to get like a PG-13 rating or something. Because when He-Man blasts them with his blaster pistol, they just explode. Like when it hits them like dead center, it goes, and they sound like machines. And so I'm guessing it's I'm guessing they're robots. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I guess they're Cylon. I mean, they are Cylon-esque, so I guess that there are robots there, Chuck. But He-Man, he moves aside a bed frame and springboard, and it's like, get inside, as all Teela and Man-Arms and shit hide here. I will deal with Skeletor. And it's like, are you? Is that a question? He's like, I will. All right, fuck it. All right, hey, man, you do you. And so he blasts one of the guys. The hoverboard crashes. He gets on the hoverboard, and he starts blasting and shit. He then goes after Evil Lynn, goes yoink, and just fucking yoink, just yoinks the goddamn key, the cylinder key from her. And then, and she's like, and she gives such a, no! Contact Skeletor. It's such a weird, no, like, and it's like, okay. And then like back to normal, like, oh well. Yeah, contact Skeletor and tell him the Eternians are here. It's very weird. And then He-Man, he drops off the cylinder to fucking Graham Cracker. And Graham goes like, oh, it'll take me a few extra hours now. Will it, Graham Cracker? Will it take you a few extra hours? Okay, sure, Graham Cracker. Yeah, to put in your Knorrins to go back home. All right. They're all hiding up there and shit. Well, He-Man, he flies out there and he's battling again. Really, looks so shitty. And it's like the camera work is cheap, and it's literally you could just tell they're just turning like he's like, oh, he's riding the hoverboard upside down and shooting. Like that's a cool idea. Like if you can imagine like a bigger budget, it'd be really cool. Like imagine He-Man is fucking riding like a futuristic hover bike or something, or hover car, and he's like able to manipulate it and turn upside down and go and like blast them with like a giant laser rifles. Like that would be a really cool scene. Like imagine like remember that scene Thor Ragnarok? Because Thor Ragnarok feels a little inspired by He-Man to an extent. Or, you know, I can see that just aesthetically. And it's like, can you imagine? Because it's that scene when Thor and Bruce Banner and what's her name? Valkyrie are going towards the space anus to get out of there in their Jeff Goldblum's ship, and they're doing all that cool shit. It's like, imagine that, but with He-Man, but imagine that, but like super shitty. Imagine that scene, but it's like so cheap, and there's so much blue screens, and it's just literally a plastic fucking doll riding on a string. That's what it is. Thank you to whoever the 5 biddies, He-Man plus Flash Go. Yes, very much so. Very much so. That's Thor Ragnarok. Yep, agreed. Thank you for the 5 biddies. My heart's been better. And so he's doing all this stuff, and it's like, oh, it's supposed to be cool because he's riding a hoverboard upside down, he's blasting, but it doesn't look cool. Looks really fake. Meanwhile, as everyone's just hanging out on this rooftop, Skeletor just shows up. He's like, I'm back, bitches. I'm Skeletor. Kneel down and suck it. But only for He-Man, especially He-Man. Is he here? Is He-Man here? Where is He-Man? And He-Man's not there, and it's like, surrender, man-at-arms. You cannot defeat me. Your Lord Skeletor. And Frank Langella is just chewing. He's fun. I'm going to say again, chat, Frank Langella is having a, I mean, I'm making fun of him because you gotta, but he's having a lot of fun in this role, and it's working for me for the most part, because it's like, he's the one that I'm like, all right, at least you're doing something. You are working with this material, and you're giving it your all, and I recognize that. And so I tip my hat to Frank Langella, because he's fucking hamming it up and shit. Talking everything on He-Man could have probably saved the universe. If he could just take care of Skeletor's, well, just do a blowy for the universe, man. Do a blowy for the eternity itself, okay? And after that, you know, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do afterwards. You know, maybe like a blowy every month or something, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Every other week. Let's do that. Let's say every 2 weeks, you gotta suck off Skeletor. I think that'd be fine. But he's like, where is He-Man? And then He-Man fucking, I'm here, Skeletor? And he's like, is that a question? And he comes down there, and he starts blasting and shit, and he crashes the hoverboard. And he starts fucking, like, really awkward sword fighting, and Skeletor is just like... To see you fight, He-Man, is so pleasurable for the eyes. And He-Man's just doing his thing. And, but it's enough. I don't have time for these games. This foreplay, He-Man. You shall know. And he unleashes his Papa Palpatine lightning, that He-Man. But then Julie, she's like, He-Man, watch out. And she like pushes He-Man out of the way. And she just gets zapped by this fucking Skeletor electricity. She's like, and she fucking falls down. She's like, she's not doing great. And we're like, and Kevin's like, Julie. And He-Man's like, Julie, you saved me. I do anything for you. He-Man, this man you've only known for literally like maybe 2 hours. All right, sure. But he's like, oh, He-Man, that's the thing. Because Skeletor's like, I will kill the rest of you. Except for He-Man, of course, because, you know. But He-Man's like, look, Skeletor. He's like, yes, He-Man. If I go with you, will you let my friends and family live? And Skeletor's like, you know what? And like, this is cool. Skeletor's like, yes. Yes, I will let them live. And he's like, okay. And he throws down his sword and shit. And they collect the sword. And they arrest him. And they take him out, and then fucking Evil Lynn's like, oh, you want to kill him? Do you want to kill He-Man's friends? He goes, and Skeletor legitimately goes, no. Nope. Because even he says, He-Man, how honorable of you. How noble of you, hero of Eternia. else. Evelyn's like, should we kill the rest of us? He's like, no, if I kill them, and I have nothing on He-Man, and he will continue to rebel against me and my rule on Eternia. No, they shall live, but they shall remain here on this speck of dust, this insignificant world. They shall live here and rot. And he's like, all right, cool. And so he fucking heads back with He-Man. They go to Eternia and shit. They close the portal behind them. Oh, the other key, it gets destroyed. It gets hit by his lightning, I guess. And I'm like, Grandpa's like, we're fucked. Key doesn't work. And like, Kevin's like, no. And Julie's still going, like Julie's still a little fucked up. And they go, what's wrong with her? And it's like, she's burning up. We have to get her to water. We need to get her water because apparently when you get hit by Skeletor's lightning, you get sick. It poisons you. So I guess Skeletor is so fucking evil. He just poisons you with his lightning. He's like, all right, cool. And so they take her down to the fountain. That'll be great. You know, the public fountain where everyone throws their fucking loose change and pennies in there. Oh, yeah, clean the wound out. Let's get all that penny water right in that. Because she hits her in her thigh, and they roll up her pants, and she's just looking gross. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's infected. Just this festering, putrid flesh. It's like oozing just jizz. I don't know what it is, chat. Just splooge. I'm like, oh, fuck, that ain't good. And fucking Grandpa was like, oh, the only way to save her is if we take her to Eternia. But alas, the key is broken. And I don't know the song. And he's like, well, what if we... And fucking Kevin is like, what if we get enough power for the keys? Enough power, we would take, something, the equivalent of whatever. And he's like, we have that. I have, fucking musical, I have musical equipment. I have chicken wire. We're going to fucking use chicken wire and 1980s amps, musical equipment, and batteries to power a device that sends you across the cosmos. Okay. All right. So he's like, we could do it. And so he gets all this shit. And fucking, I was going to say Orko, but not Orko. Graham Kirk is like, well, you've provided what we need, Kevin, but sadly, I don't remember the coordinates. And he's like, well, isn't it like a melody? Isn't it like a melody? Like it has a rhythm to it? Graham Crabtree goes, yes. Are you a music man? He calls him like a music master. And he goes, well, I play a little bit in my own band. He's like, you are a music master. It is incredible talent on Eternia. Kevin, you remember? And he's like, yeah. And he just fucking hums it. And while this is happening, Strickland, he calls the police force and no one believes him. They're like, oh, fucking Strickland, you and your PTSD. He's like, I swear it's happening. I swear. And eventually Strickland sees Kevin and the man at arms, all them shit, old Graham Cracker, and they're doing the whole, and they're like, whoa, you're right, sir. Strickland's like, I'm going in, and he's about to shoot Kevin and all these people, and right when Kevin inputs the fucking melody, the portal opens up, and Strickland gets sucked in, along with everybody else. They all get sucked in and go, boom, they're sent to Eternia, chat. They're being sent to Eternia. Meanwhile, we're at Eternia, chat. Sorceress looking really gross. She's like, looking like a mummy and shit. Yeah, it's like sorceress. And then we have fucking Skeletor. Sorceress. So good to see you. Not looking too well. And I have captured your champion. And she's like, you will never destroy Eternia. He-Man yet evades you, son. Your power's weakened, old woman. I have him here. And we see, Dolph Lundgren all chained up and shit. And she's like, no. And at this point, Skeletor, he is like, cool, I am going to make a space Skype call. And he contacts Eternia, and he's like, all right, listen, everybody. I have He-Man. He-Man is here. And whence the planets... This is some weird shit they threw in here last minute. I guess Skeletor was waiting for this moment because in the galaxy that they're in, the planets will align with Eternia or some shit, or some eye of whatever will look upon Eternia. And whoever possesses the sword of the Grayskull, which he has now, he has in his hand, will be fucking imbued with the power of the cosmos, I guess. And so he's like, I have the sword. I have Castle Grayskull. I shall be imbued with unlimited power. And then they open up his Castle Grayskull, and all this shit looks down upon him. He's like, oh, I feel it. The change. The power, the cosmos are at my command. It sounded like Jafar, very Jafar-esque, like from Aladdin chat when he becomes a genie. And he has like all this shit and does that. And he basically goes Super Saiyan, Chad. Skeletor goes Super Saiyan at this point. He's going Super Saiyan. He's like, whoa, shit. And he gets imbued with all this stuff. And he gets this fucking cool, that's not really cool, but this like really heavy looking gold armor. And he's like, cool. All right, start whipping the shit out of He-Man so then he can suck my dick. Because that's still what he wants, Chet. Even though Jafar did do it better, agreed, Hamilton Burger. Even though he was just imbued with the power of the cosmos, Chet. Unlimited fucking power. What Skeletor still wants at the end of the day is He-Man on his knees sucking his cock. That's all he wants. And so he gets like Beastman or whoever, and they just start whipping the shit out of He-Man. And He-Man's like, I will never kneel. He's like, you will kneel before me, He-Man. All of eternity, all of Eternia, all of the galaxy, all of the universe. And then that's when Kevin and Man-at-Arms and Graham Cracker, they all portaled right to the room. Strickland's there. Strickland's like, what the fuck is happening? Everyone starts blasting and shit. Teela and Man-Arms, they free He-Man. And it's like, there's just chaos unfolding in Castle Grayskull chat. Like, all the armies, like, fucking Man-Arms and Teela and Graham Cracker, Kevin, Strickland, they're all kicking a whole lot of ass chat. They free He-Man. And Evil Lynn, she reads the room. She's like, yeah, we're kind of fucked. So, and she's out. She's like, hey, Beastman, Troll Doll, Blade, you want to get the fuck out of here? And we're like, yeah. And they just leave. They're like, yeah, I think we lost. And so they just fucking jet. And Skeletor, he's like, no. And then eventually, He-Man, he like runs up. He's trying to get the sword. And Skeletor's like, no. And he starts shocking him with his scepter. He's like, all this like yellow lightning's coming out of it and shit. And He-Man's like, and Skeletor's like, yes. But he fucking grabs the sword, Chet. He grabs that fucking sword, holds it up. I have the power. And then he's imbued with the cosmos too. And then Skeletor's there. And they're like, oh, He-Man, it was always going to come down to this moment. This shall be our final battle. And they have a really awkward sword fight. And they're going at it and everything. It's awkward. Eventually, fucking He-Man, he just kicks Skeletor's ass awkwardly. And he pushes Skeletor down. And Skeletor's like, no! And I guess when you get pushed down, when you fall on your butt, Cosmos is like, you fell on your butt. You're a loser. We're going to take all our cosmic powers out of you. And so the cosmic universe gods suck all that out of Skeletor, and he's just regular Skeletor now, like in his black cloak and shit. And He-Man's like, it's over, Skeletor. And Skeletor's like, yes, it is over for you. And he pulls out a sword, and they continue sword fighting chat. And I don't get this. Like, if I was, again, villains always do this, and it always fucks them later on in the end. Always at the end of the movie, where they love to build, like, a secret base with, like, very, like, fucking abysses. Like, you know, precipices that just lead to an abyss. No fucking guard railings. No railings whatsoever to, like, hold on to. Make sure you're like, whoa, if I tip over, I'll be able to catch myself. Like, no, I want no fucking railings. Fuck my underlings. I don't give a shit. And it fucks them. Oh, well, Red Reset, thanks so much for using your Prime subscription. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well, sir. Almost the end of my review for He-Man, or at least Master of the Universe. So they're battling and shit, and they're right near this precipice. Like Skeletor, like, he punches He-Man in the face. He-Man drops the sword, goes over the edge, but He-Man dives for it, and he catches it right before it goes over the abyss. And then fucking Skeletor is like, oh, this shall be your doom, He-Man. And he goes, ah, and he hits him. And then He-Man gets back up. He goes, He just pushes Skeletor. Not like a final, like he stabs him in the gut or chops his head off. Or there's not that he chopped his head off. He does not. Like he stabs him in the gut. He's like, and this is the end for you, Skeletor. And like nothing like that. He just literally, he stops him. He gets up and goes, And Skeletor's like, and Skeletor just, It's so funny. Because it's ADR, because when we see Skeletor falling, his mouth is shut. He's just like that. Like his mouth is absolutely shut. And so they had Frank Langella come in post and go, and he's just falling like this. Like there's no motion in his arms or leg going like, Like imagine, like remember how Papa Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine falls? It was great fucking death. I love the death of the Emperor, that whole sequence, Return of the Jedi, how badass that is. I love all the Vader, Luke, and Emperor stuff in Return of the Jedi. When fucking Vader lifts him up, he's like, and he throws him, he's like, like that. It's like, wow, that was really cool. This is just, it's just Frank and Joel going, in the ADR, and he just falls into the abyss or something. He T-poses, he's like, I'm God, baby. I'm God. I'm Jesus Christ. I'll die for your sins. I'll die for you, He-Man. I'll die for you, my God. Whatever. And so he falls. And then everyone's like, yeah, we did it. And then it's, fast forward, because we won. Julia gets healed. She gets healed. Shit by whatever. Strickland decides like, hey, I'm going to stay here because I have PTSD and everyone mocks me for it. And I met a woman who I guess it's a slave Eternia girl. So I'm just going to have sex with her. So I'm going to stick around. And they're like, all right, good for you, Strickland. He's going to stay in Eternia chat. The sorceress is now queen again. Kevin and Julia love each other, and, you know, He-Man and Sorceress are like, don't you wish to stay with us, Kevin and Julia? And they're like, no, we just want to go back home. We want to go back home. And, you know, He-Man's like, I will miss both of you, Kevin, Julia. Yes? And they go, yes, He-Man, yes, we will miss you most of all. I have the power. We know you have the power. And then we get a really fucking weird. Strickland gets the best deal. I was like, yeah, I'm going to fucking live here. Hell yeah. Like, listen, if I could live, because Skeletor is defeated or whatever, you live in Eternia and you get to, like, you get to be treated like royalty. They're like, fuck yeah, I would. I would take that goddamn deal. I don't need to have any TV. I'm good. Hell yeah, I'll fucking live in Eternia. Nice. All these beautiful ladies and great food. And fuck yeah. Whatever. But very weird scene here because Graham Cracker comes in. Graham Cracker, he got a fucking, he got a makeover too. He got all this gold. He's got blinged out. Graham Cracker got blinged out right here, chat. He has all these little gold, like, medallions in his beard now and shit. And he's all braided. All his hair is braided with gold. It's like, what the fuck, dude? And he's like, oh, Julia, Kevin, before you go, I must tell you, I fixed the device. And I can send you anywhere. I can send you back in time, forward in time to the future, where your civilization is advanced as ours, or back in time to your happiest moments. And it's like, wait a minute. You're telling me that this device can time travel? What the fuck you talking about, Graham Cracker? You just said it's a portal to different dimensions. It's like, if this device can literally go back in time, they established this at the very fucking end of the movie, then it's like, why didn't you just go back in time and stop Skeletor from taking over Eternia and sneaking to Castle Grayskull? You have this. Why didn't you mention that to anyone? And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, who fucking cares? It's the end of the movie. No one gives a shit. But I love it because Julie Kevin like, oh no, we're good. Just send us back. He's like, are you really sure? He go, and they're like, no, Graham Cracker, we just want to go back home. That's it. And he goes, all right, wink. And so he sends them back. And then Julie, it's like a total dream thing. Julia's like, whoa. She wakes up in bed. She goes, whoa. Oh, they also get oh yeah, Kevin gets a gift. He gets the jewel of Eternia. So if you ever need us, if you ever need our help, Kevin of Earth, we will come and help you. He goes, is that a question or are you saying you will? Yes? Okay, thank you, He-Man. And so Kevin got gifted the Jewel of Eternia, and they're sent back. And so literally, knowing what they is, has always been a wonderful time. Hope everyone has a great night. Knowing everyone, thank you for stopping by the stream. Hope you enjoyed the review. I'm right at the very end, Have a great night. And so, So Julia wakes up in her bed like, what a crazy dream. Huh? And she walks down the stairs, chat. She's like, do. Oh, man, I can't wait to tell Kevin about that crazy dream I had. And then who's in the kitchen, chat? Her mom and her dad. She's like, Mom, Dad. And you're like, Julia, you were oversleeping. Is everything okay? Are you feeling ill? And he's like, oh, my God. It's like all this shit. So fucking graham cracker, you put him, because I guess he somehow knew about Julie's parents. I guess because he said dead mom and shit. So okay, fair enough. Okay. And they're like, she's like, listen, if you guys want to, because I guess it's the day of when they're supposed to die. And she's like, listen, if you guys want to hang out right now, let's go get like dinner or something. I just miss you guys. She's like, it's okay, honey. It's fine. Are you feeling? I was like, I'm fine. I just need to speak to Kevin right now. Is he coming? He's like, yeah, Kevin's going to be coming over. He just called. She's like, oh my God. And she changes. And she goes outside. She meets Kevin. And Kevin's like, Julie, we're back. It wasn't a dream. It was all real. And look at this. And they have the fucking Jewel of Eternia in it. And they're like, whoa. And it opens up the cosmos. So it's like a gateway. It's a key. I guess. I don't fucking know. And it literally, it's Dolph Lundgren going, I have the power. I guess it's like, it's space Skype. It's like, it's the devices they use for space Skype. It's like, I have the power. And then Masters of the Universe. And the title sequence, credits and shit. But that's not the end of the movie, Chad. It's not the end of the movie. We then cut down to the abyss, which is filled with a pink gelatinous, acidic-looking substance, I assume. And Skeletor pops out. He goes, bah! I'll be back. And he won't be back, Chad. He won't be back. But he literally says he pops out of the ooze of the goop and goes, I'll be back. And then it cuts to black. And that, my friends, is Masters of the Universe, the cinematic adaptation of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Listen, not a good movie. Writing is terrible. Acting is pretty bad. Entertaining to watch, fun to make fun of, fun to laugh at. No, but it's bad. It's bad. Production design, cheap. Special effects, really fucking cheap. Action scenes, poorly choreographed, chat. There are some positives. Frank Langella, I'm sorry, but he's super fun as Skeletor. I know he doesn't look like the character. I know that, but I just love how hammy and over the top and how obviously homoerotic this Skeletor is, and I just find his performance so amusing, and it works for me. I dig at him as Skeletor. I know some people are like, oh, Frank Langella's awful. He's like, nah, he's probably the best thing in the movie, performance-wise. Really liked him. Like, all of his fucking dialogue is great. It's very quotable. His little actions, like all that shit. I dug it. I was like, okay. I was in the right mindset to enjoy his performance. I think a lot of people will like what he does. I wish he was in the movie more. I mean, he's in the movie a good amount. But it's like, he's fun. But despite all Black Stone activities, is Frank Langella to He-Man what role Julie's? Yes, I agree. Mm-hmm. That is a very apt comparison. That's a perfect comparison, Blackstone. Yeah. I think Raul Julia is a little bit better than Frank Langella in Street Fighter, but yes, Frank Langella as Skeletor and He-Man is pretty fun. He's pretty fun. And that's why I'm like, I can't, it's like, oh, it's some old bullshit. No, in a lot of capacities it is. But for some reason, I'm like, it's dumb as fuck. And there's a lot of bad scenes. But Frank Langella was fun, and I was laughing at the movie so much. I'm like, okay, I can't in good conscience give this just some old bullshit. And maybe if I was a He-Man fan, I'd be like, yeah, fuck this. I'll give like a fuck you or something. Like, I get that. You bring a lot into it if you're a fan of this property and they mistreat it. Understandable. For myself, like, nah, it was fun. It was fun. It was bad a lot of time. It was fun. I enjoyed myself. So I'd give it like a low rental. I'd give it a low rental on the double toasted DT scale, chat. But yes, that is my review for Masters of the Universe. Tomorrow, chat, it's going to be a long one. I knew this would be a long review. I'm not doing a turn review checks. I knew this would be a long one. Tomorrow, I have a Leviathan-sized review planned for you, chat. Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, chat. I've done Spider-Man 1. I've done Spider-Man 2. And tomorrow, I will be doing Spider-Man 3, chat. Tune in for that one. That's going to be fun. I've not seen, I guess the last time I saw the movie was when I did Sammy Ain't Seen Shit. When Sam was still part of Double Toasted. That was one of our best reviews that we did. Very, very excited to do that one, chap. Emo Tobey Maguire. Miscast Topher Grace Venom. Weirdly, wooden Sandman, Thomas Hayden Church. And of course, chat, Rosemary Harris as the star of the movie, Aunt May, Peter. Everybody knows you love Mary Jane, Peter. Shall return. Aunt May shall return. Could you hear, like, I should die, just like... what's the fucking lines of the movie? Or some shit. Burn 3 is it's a massive clusterfuck. I agree, Blackstone. I hate that movie. That movie, I gave that a fuck you. I stand by it. Though I haven't watched it in a year or two, so I gotta do it. Woo! It's long enough to do emo hair. So yeah, let's see how it looks. Here we go. I'm a bad boy. Woo! This is the dance scene and shit. Everybody. I want to get the copyright. Whatever. Woo! I can't wait. It's longer, man. It's long. I have really long hair now. Look at this. I have really long hair. It's always getting my eyes now. Come on, the burger. Great review, Chris. I'm going to hang out with Corey and Billy now. No problem, man. Have a great time. See you later. Bully Herman. Yeah, I'm going to be Bully McGuire. And a meme and a GIF was created, chat. Looks like River Phoenix's hair at the beginning of the list. Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely. Yeah, he has. How does he wear it? Like, hold on. Kind of wears it like this. He wears it like this, right? Yeah. That's how he wears it in the movie. Bully Herman. Bad Boy Senpai noticed me. Good to see you, Bad Boy. Hope you're doing well. Sorry I missed you before. Whew, my God. But yeah, that was hope you enjoyed the review, chat. I knew that'd be a fun one. There's so much to make fun of, and, you know, I loved it. A lot of the Mighty Thor, rescribing, 9 months, you just front pooped out a Twitch, baby. And a 6-month streak. Thank you, Mighty Thor. How you doing? Good to see you. Remember, the only realistic thing about the movie is that people are looking at him weird all the time. That's true. Yeah, like he-man, yeah. No, you're not wrong. When they can't afford extras. There's very few extras in the movie, which is weird to me. Very few. After play, Kevin went on to be a TV director and producer on Chuck, and now Turner. Oh, good for him. Oh, good for him. I'm happy for him. Good for Kevin. Yeah, it worked out for a lot of those. I mean, it worked out for Dolph Lundgren. He did fine. Frank Langella, obviously, he's good. He's making a shit ton of movies back then. Still is. No, a lot of those actors did well for themselves. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's some people that were like, well, that's it. And they had that movie and that was it. But still. A lot of those people went on to more successful, even Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, very successful careers. Oh, but now, chat, we'll be moving on to some gameplay. I just got to switch out a few things, chat. It'll only take me a second, but I'll be playing some Psychonauts. Of course, it's in preparation for the release of Psychonauts 2, chat, which I think comes out, next week? I think that game's coming. Yeah, it's coming out next week, chat. I think Friday, the 27th, I believe. So that should be really, really fun. So we're going to go ahead and get to playing that in just a second. I'm also going to take a quick break, chat. I got to go potty. Got to refill my beverage here. It'll be good. Shall be good. He'll be back. He did indeed say that. He lied. They did not come back. There's a lot of sequel baiting in this movie, and it's like, nope. It did not happen. Thank God that never happened. I agree. This is perfect the way it is. It's perfect as this little abomination. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead. You know what I'm talking about, He-Man? Why don't you enjoy? I'll admit there's some nice artwork for this movie. There's some really cool artwork. So why don't you go ahead and look at the nice artwork for this film? It's a pretty cool little mural here. I dig it. So look at that while I switch a few things over, and I'll be right back. Stick around, you crazy kids.